You're watching This Week in Golf, and I'm Phil from Average Guy Golf. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a massive penalty on the Senior LPGA, as well as discussing a historic streak by one of the greatest golfers of our generation. Stay tuned. So this week we put up a poll on the Average Guy Golf Instagram page to help me choose between two stories that were heavy in the golf headlines this week. The results came back as a tie, so we're going to take a look at both of those topics. First, on the Senior LPGA Tour, Leanne Walker was assessed a 58-stroke penalty for a rules violation she committed. 58 strokes. You didn't mishear me. She got 42 of those assessed in the first round and 16 assessed to her second round score. That is crazy. So what egregious rules violation did she commit that assessed such a huge penalty to her score? Was she like kicking her ball out to give herself a more favorable lie? Nope, not that at all. In fact, what she was doing was having her caddy stand behind her while she was putting. Now, long story short, she didn't realize that there had been a rule change that disallowed this action, and actually during her second round, another caddy in her pairing is the one who mentioned it, at which point she went ahead and went to the officials and fessed up to what had been going on, which is when she was assessed the penalty of 58 strokes. Now, certainly this is an unfortunate turn of events for Leanne Walker. That sucks. Getting a 58 stroke penalty is terrible, but I don't want to take a look as deeply as at the penalty. Rather, I would take a look at what she actually scored. So for the first two rounds combined, with a 58 stroke penalty, her total strokes was 217. If I went out and played 2 days in a row, I would be perfectly happy with shooting a combined 217. And she shot a 217 with a 58 stroke penalty. That's insane. That's a quarter of her shots as a penalty, while I would shoot that without any penalties. And by the way, while doing the thing I said before of moving my ball out and giving me a more favorable lie. I don't get it. That's crazy. How good are these people at golf that they're shooting 217 with an additional 50 strokes? It blows my mind. But in any case, obviously this type of thing doesn't happen all that often. But what I want to know is, and comment down below, if you were assessed a 58 stroke penalty, or we'll just say a 42 stroke penalty on one round, what would you shoot if you played average otherwise? For me, it would probably be somewhere around 145, but I'd like to know in the comments, let me know, what would you shoot in a round if you were assessed a 42 stroke penalty? Now, to transition from some extremely high scores, we're going to talk about some superb golf that's been being played by a golfer on the PGA Tour. Now, you may have seen this article floating around talking about Phil Mickelson's historic run of 26 straight years in the top 50 of world golfers. So 26 years. That means that the last time Phil was outside the top 50, I was 4 years old. His streak started in November of 1993. At that point, Greg Maddux had just won his second consecutive Cy Young and his first with the Atlanta Braves. Also at that point in November of 1993, the NFL had just announced that they were going to launch, or they were going to start their 30th franchise, which was the Jacksonville Jaguars. So what this means is that Phil Mickelson has been dominating at golf for longer than everyone has been dominating the Jacksonville Jaguars in football. That's pretty impressive. But with that said, Lefty's streak is at risk of ending this weekend at the CJ Cup in South Korea. Currently, he's the 47th ranked golfer in the world, and though the chances are pretty slim, some odds say there's like a 10% chance that he could potentially fall out of the top 10, the chance is still there. Now, at the time of recording this, at about 5:30 on Saturday, October 19th, Phil was tied for 33rd, which would keep him in the top 50, and his streak would live on for at least one more week. Phil's streak is so impressive, and it deserves to be recognized more than it currently is. He has been a staple in the golf world for as long as I can remember, almost as long as I've been alive. And I feel like Lefty just doesn't get the credit that he's due. So here's to you, Lefty. May your streak stay alive, and may you turn around the rough year that you've had so far. and maybe fight your way back to the top 10. You've been watching This Week in Golf. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any content from Average Guy Golf. This has been Phil with Average Guy Golf. I'll catch you guys next time.